Hello, everyone. I want to make sure that we are live here. I'm hoping we are, and I'm excited about it because we have with us Vickie L. Evans, author of Know Your Worth. She's right here in the virtual studio audience. How are you, Vickie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, especially now that I see your big, beautiful, bright smile. I normally see you in hats, and today you have on a different type of hat, right?
Actually, I have a band on,
Oh,
headband.
I thought it was a hat still. Okay, so it's
No,
like a
it's a
band, a
headband.
bandana.
Yeah, I've been rocking my headbands lately. My
Well,
new,
that's very cute. Very,
my
very cute.
70s style.
Well, you know what? It's interesting when we say like the 70s styles versus now. You everything. There's nothing new under the sun, right? Nothing new under the heavens because stuff
Right.
still comes back and it's just as beautiful as it was. I'm sure back then.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad to have you with us tonight, and
I'm glad to be here.
and everyone that comes in, let us know who you are, where you're visiting in from. Say your name, be interactive. We want you to participate in tonight's conversation. We're talking about know your worth, how to overcome the dragon of low self-esteem. Okay? So tag your friends and invite them to be a part of this discussion. The author, Vickie, has been going through the book with us. So if you don't have a copy of it already, you can get it. Where can they get the book?
They can get it from my website, VickieLEvans.com. That's the way I prefer because it's more interactive. That way I can sign your name and autograph it for you, put some nice words of encouragement in it. So if you go to my website, VickieLEvans.com, and click on the book tab, you'll see all my books there, including this one.
Excellent. And what made you even become interested in being an author?
I think I've said that before. I started off writing poems when I was about 9 years old, and it was just an escape for me, just to, I hadn't. I'm an only child, so I had no one my own age to express. Good evening. To express my thoughts to, so I began to write poems as a form of expression, and I found out the poems were pretty good. And so it just kind of led me on a journey. But then um, as an adult, this book actually is a cleansing force for me. It was therapy for me because of all the things that I had experienced throughout my childhood, my teenage years, and here I was now. I think I was 46 when I wrote this book.
Wow.
46 years old. I'm a late bloomer as far as writing is concerned. And at 46, I just had, I had to express how I was feeling because I am a product of the book. I am a
Mm.
product of low self esteem. And I had an incident or just the encounter that made me realize just how valuable I am.
Wow.
An eye opening encounter that made me understand just how valuable I am. And if you've ever been on a journey when you felt
Mhm.
invaluable, learning how valuable you are, oh my God, it is a discovery it puts you in a place that you don't ever want to lose. And so every day is a new discovery for me. Now that I know who I am, I know my worth. So this book is autobiographical. Actually, it's about me
Right.
and the things that I've experienced, and I know that other people have experienced it as well. So it allows me the opportunity to share with others and let them know you are so valuable too, and
That's
how valuable you are. If I leave this earth, if that's the only thing that I have accomplished, that I empowered another woman, another young person to know how valuable they are, to know their worth,
Mhm.
I have accomplished my mission here on earth.
Well, you're doing that by coming here weekly, and a couple of times we've had to skip a week, but for the most part, you have consistently taking some time out of your schedule to come right here and talk to us about knowing our worth and how we can overcome this dragon of low self esteem. And it's a pretty thick read here. This book is
Right.
literally like a guide for us to be able to conquer that demon in our lives. Vanita is
Hi,
on, and she said,
Renita. Hi, Cassandra.
yeah, so
Thank you guys
Cassandra,
for
Vanita,
joining us
and
tonight.
everybody that's timing in. I see more people, but you just type your name and let us know so we can acknowledge you. And we're glad to have you all here today. Thank you all so much for being here. And so, when you think about low self esteem, I know we're going to talk about a specific chapter tonight,
Yeah.
but I'd like to be able to hear your thoughts on what people can do to really conquer dealing with low self-esteem, because everybody is not portraying that, oh, I have on my forehead low self-esteem, but at the end of the day we know that that's a dragon that's trying to slay us. How do
So
we deal
not
with that?
not everybody has low self-esteem. There are people who have gone through their life. What I discovered at 46, they already knew. So not everybody have that, but we all have our own journeys and our own obstacles in life that we have overcome.
Yes.
And we all have a story to tell how we overcame those specific trials, traumas, experiences, obstacles. We all have our own individual experience. So, what I share with you, you can apply it to your life um, from your perspective, but it's an individual discovery.
Yes.
And, like I said, if you have had it, then you understand my journey. You can identify and you can walk through the shoes that I've walked through. And you can use some of the tips that I use to overcome.
Good.
And when I say that, every day I'm overcoming it. It's a continuous process. It's not something that I just woke up. I started the journey at 46 by discovering my worth, but every day since then, and just to throw in there, I'm 64 now. Uh, but every day between that period until where I am now, every day is a step to conquer,
Wow.
to overcome, to empower, to know more about me, to understand my value even the more.
That's so beautifully said. So, and I think a lot, if you can relate to anything that Vickie is saying here, please just put a hand emoji, like I'm raising my hand, a number one in the comments, put something to just let us know that you can relate to what she's saying. If you have ever battled with low self-esteem in any aspect of your life, and she's here tonight talking with us, and you can resonate with it, then put a one in the comments and say, I'm here listening. I understand what you're talking about. Every day I am overcoming it. And I love that philosophy. That's similar to my philosophy. I never feel like I'm going to arrive, and I don't ever want to arrive. So it's not my theory that one day I'm going to arrive. No matter how high God takes me, I'm desiring to be ever learning and ever evolving. So I
And
love that.
every day I become a better version. That's my goal, to become a better version of myself
Good, good.
every day, because there's always something about me that I can improve. I don't ever want to get to the point where I feel like I'm here and I have arrived. Every day I want to be able to evaluate my life, to understand, to see what can I do better.
Mhm.
And I think everyone should strive for that. What can I do better? If you have, some people don't want to identify what they've gone through as low self-esteem. They're like, well, that don't, I don't understand that. There's nothing about me, but there is something in your life that you're overcoming. There's something in your life, a weakness that you are struggling with, that you need to break through or
That's right.
overcome. So it may not be identified as low self-esteem, but I know there is something that you're struggling with, or that you need to overcome to become a better version of yourself.
That's right. You are so accurate, right on point. Now, tonight, we're going to be talking about something that is a warning. It's called the warning signs. Listening to your intuition. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. But before we do, I would love for you to go back for a minute. And you said that there was like a turning point for you, and you didn't elaborate on it. Do you want to elaborate for a few moments about?
Well, I mean, my whole life, there has been different traumas. I grew up in a domestic violence home. And so when you are around toxic behavior or things that kind of pull you down, kind of drain you, and if you don't have support systems in place or friends or whatever it is in place to encourage you, to support you, to lift you up, to build you up, then you have a tendency to kind of go into a shell or become what I call overwhelmed with situations that cause you to feel like your self-esteem is low.
Right.
So that's why I describe it as that. So from domestic violence to getting in toxic relationship with men, um, just dealing with life in general, dealing with pregnancy out of wedlock and having an abortion. There's a lot of things I could talk about with that are my personal experiences that weighed me down and caused me to feel less than the person that God created me to be. A lot of times we let experiences dictate who we are.
That's
and
right.
and they don't. It's just something that you've gone through, something that you either overcoming, you're either in a storm or you coming out of a storm, but that doesn't devalue who you are. And one thing about God, he loves you regardless. He already know what you're going to encounter. Sometimes we make 100, sometimes we just don't get it right.
Right.
And so being that person that led me on a journey, but my low self-esteem was really low. I mean, I can evaluate it for me to the point that it led me to suicidal tendencies, not just tendencies. I attempted suicide. And so
Yeah.
that's when the discovery came, because I had an encounter. And I tell people, I know everybody is not religious or spiritual, but I
Right.
had an encounter. I heard Deion Sanders talking the other day about his encounter
Right.
with God and the Holy Spirit. I had an encounter, and I always have to pay homage to that experience, because I was in a very low space,
In
a
your life.
very low valley, where I attempted suicide, and the Holy Spirit came in the
Mm.
room. I mean, my encounter is just so different. I
Mm.
mean, where it was audible. He came into the room, he spoke to me, he gave me what we're talking about tonight, a warning. He said, first of all, he said, your life does not belong to you.
To
That's
you.
the first statement he said. It
Mm.
belongs to me. And then that was followed by a warning.
Mm.
The warning was, if you try to take this life again, I'll take it from you. And so I realized the severity of what I was doing. And I always say, when I look back over my life from that incident to where I am now,
Mhm.
just think of all the things I would have missed out on. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about your
Right.
self-esteem right now if I had a succeeded back then. So I talk about what my turning point was. I have to. I'm sorry. No, I'm not.
You're not
I
sorry? What you sorry for, girl? Bye. We need
said
to hear
I
this.
have to include and acknowledge who brought me out of my valley. I have to,
That's right.
because my experience, like I said, Deion Sanders, he was talking about his experience, and he said it was very dramatic because he was very dramatic.
Right.
So the Holy Spirit came in a dramatic way. Well, the same thing for me. It was very dramatic. I had to have something that to acknowledge that he was there,
It was
that he
real.
loved me, because that was the ingredient that I was missing. I felt no one loved me. And
Mm.
so for him to come in that room, in that hotel room that I had checked in the night before, which I had taken Valiums and
Mm.
washed it down with Cavassier. You know, I very seldom tell this testimony, but maybe there's somebody on here tonight that needs to hear that.
Mm.
And washed it down with Cavassier and laid down to die. And the next day, it was like mid-afternoon, waking up, to sunshine and birds chirping and seeing that I was still alive. And then to have that encounter where the Holy Spirit came into that hotel room and spoke to me. It changed my life forever.
Hmm. Hmm.
Forever.
I was trying to find out what is Cabassier because I don't. I may.
Cavassier is brandy.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh Lord, I just don't know.
It's a brand name
You should
for
know these
brandy.
things, I guess.
So I went to
I was
I
trying
was
to look
on
it
a
up right
military
quick.
I was on a military base. I went and bought, I had the Valium. They were prescribed. They were mine. But I went to a local liquor store, bought some brandy, and washed it down. You know.
And then you had that encounter, and the Holy Spirit spoke to you and said,
Yeah.
your life does not belong to you. And so
Right.
don't try to take it again, because if you do try to take it again, I'm going to allow that to happen, pretty
Yeah.
much is what. Wow.
Exactly what happened. And a lot of people, like I said, I have to acknowledge this because some people may say, oh, that's just a religious freak. But it actually happened to me just like that. And I always say, if Stephanie Myers, who wrote the Twilight series, can tell you that she came up with that in a dream, I can tell you that the Holy Spirit spoke to me in a room and delivered me from suicide. That's exactly what happened.
Wow. Whew, so I'm glad you told that testimony, because like you say, somebody needs to hear that may be considering taking their own life. And again, it doesn't belong to us to even take. So it would be best for us to almost submit to the authority, whatever power you believe in over you. I believe in the power of the Holy Spirit. And so for me, I want to submit to that power to find out what is it that he wants me to do on my journey and my walk in life. So I'm so grateful that you weren't able to take your own life. And even after multiple attempts, because you had
Yeah,
tried
it
multiple
was the
times.
fourth time.
That was
That
the
was the
fourth
fourth
and
time.
final. Fourth and final.
Fourth and final.
You never tried again.
No, because I know who I am now, and I know who loves me regardless of my faults. Because one of the things that led me on that journey is what we're gonna is was relationships, especially relationship with men. If they rejected me, and I want to use that word, if they rejected me, or if I felt like I didn't measure up to them, it took me on a like, oh, it was just like uh, devastating to me.
Hmm.
Oh my God, he does, because I had never seen that in my childhood. I didn't know what healthy relationships look like. And if you don't know that, you have the tendency, you don't have a roadmap. You find yourself getting into relationships, clinging on to people because they were nice to me, or they did this to me, or they said
Right.
I was this, or they said, and then when you get in there and their intentions are not pure, or it doesn't match the same intent that you are on, then you feel devastated when you find out, especially if there's infidelity and, so you find yourself feeling worthless. I did anyway.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Never considering it may be something wrong with him.
Yeah.
But,
I don't
I
know
would
what to say, but
always say,
I know.
what's wrong with me? And it just took me down to the valley, When I mean all the way down to the valley,
Mm.
and so then I would, check out. I want to check out now.
Well, I'm
You
so
know,
glad you didn't. And I'm so grateful for that. This is what overcoming the dragon of low self esteem looks like. So, this is a person that now loves herself, and she's honored to be who God created her to be. No more attempts in taking her own life. I just love these pictures because you are front and center saying, this is who I am. This is who God created her to be. And look at the
Right.
joy in every picture. You can see the joy of the Lord all over you, Vickie,
Yes.
all over you.
And I'm not ashamed of who I am. I used to be, you know, I used to be,
Mm,
I spent a lot of time trying to be other people. Oh, maybe I could speak like her. Oh, maybe I could look like her. Oh, but, trying to be other people when the value of who I am was being Vickie, authentically me, you
that's it.
know, that
And
when
that's
I
plenty. That's
discovered that, I was like, oh my God, I bought a shirt. I should go get it. It says, I am enough. Being authentically me
yeah.
is just, oh my God. The smile is for real. I'm not
Right.
pretending.
That, you know what, and that's what I feel as far as my own life. I don't have the joy of any human being. I have the joy of the Lord, and so it's not a challenge for me to be happy on the inside, even if there are sad moments and times in my life that I'm very disappointed.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, I can regain that strength because it's God's strength. It's not me. It's, and the more I overthink things, what I've learned anyway, is the more difficult I make things. All I have to do is just do what God has already purposed me to do, and don't worry about all the extra how I look, whatever, blah blah blah. Just do what God said for you to do, Kim. Vickie.
absolutely. And know your worth. I was having a conversation, and yes, I do talk to the Holy Spirit this morning about wanting to be wealthy.
Hmm.
I said, I want to be wealthy. And so he said to me, look around you. Just look at all the things that you have in your own vernacular. You are.
That's
You're wealthy. We look at prosperity from the lens of other people. Oh,
right.
they drive a Mercedes and they have a mansion on the hill. But to wake up every day in this place, because he has given us the ability to
That's right.
gain wealth.
All of
That's up
us.
to us. So I'm like, okay, so if whatever your next step is, Vickie, that's on you.
That's right.
Okay, but enjoy where you are right now.
Yes.
Enjoy it, because I can tell you right now, it could be worse. And you know what he said to me? He said,
What?
I didn't even have a house. Jesus went from place to place. He said, I didn't even, you have a house. You look at my closets are busting loose. You got
I can
all these,
imagine. I can imagine.
you know, so you are wealthy. Be content with the things that you have. Look at yourself as the most valuable instrument that God has ever created. I don't know. We got off
Yeah,
topic, but
anyway, but it's not off track because it's what's needed. So that's
yeah.
why we're on track with how God wants the conversation to go. But Benita said that she can relate to everything that you are saying. And Benita, thank you so much for that comment. So she's able to relate. Let's talk. Let's go ahead and talk, if we can, about the warning signs and listening to your intuition. On page 139, if you have the book. If you don't have the book, get it at VickieLEvans.com. And just so you all know what's happening, we do this book club at our Mother Dreamer movement. And if you don't know what the Mother Dreamer movement is, it's a group of mothers who encourage each other to be able to have great honor and things that you do in your life, things that God has put in your heart to accomplish, but also still be able to raise productive children. So we as mother dreamers, we know that we can be great mothers, and we can also have our dreams and goals become a reality. So if you're interested in that, you can go to motherdreamer.com/join and join our movement. All right, Vickie, let's go. Page
I'm gonna,
139.
I'm gonna start in the. I guess I'm gonna start on page 140. I'm gonna skip the example that I
Okay.
told you about, but basically I'm talking about car trouble.
Okay.
Your engine light comes on, and then you pull over, you go to the mechanic, and if you're not knowledgeable in mechanics or what makes, so the mechanic may tell you this is what your problem is, and it's up to you to decide, if you're going to proceed with that.
Mhm.
And I have had moments with mechanics where they told me something and it didn't sit well with me, and I was
Right.
like, nah,
I get
I'm going
second
to get a
opinion.
second opinion. That intuition just kind of went, no, I think I'll get a second opinion.
Hmm.
Okay, so this is what I want to talk about tonight. Sometimes you got to trust your intuition,
That's good.
because the warning signs. Now, the check engine light came on, or the oil light came on. That was a warning, right?
Hmm.
There was a warning, but then you have the ability to say, okay, let me evaluate this. What's going on here? Shall I proceed, or shall I back out on this, even in relationships? So I'll start with on page 140, where it says, ladies, have you ever met? Let's talk about relationships for a minute.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, the warning sign, I think it's the shortest chapter in this book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've read
I
the book several
wanted
times.
to, yeah, it's the, but I wanted to just emphasize that it's important that you trust your own judgment,
Mhm.
that you trust what's on the inside of you, because there is something on the inside of you that will warn you as well when things just don't seem right.
Right.
So I'll read it and then we'll talk about it, because I think the discussion is going to be better than the chapter.
Okay. And so
All
get
right.
your minds right in the studio audience once you hear what she reads, let's be prepared to chime in on the discussion piece, okay? And
So
share your
this, when
thoughts.
it comes to relationship, ladies, have you ever met a guy who you thought was perfect in every way, even though the warning signs indicated otherwise? I can count a few of them who at the time I just knew that each of them was my Prince Charming instead of the frog they turned out to be. Now, do you classify those signs as false readings? What I talked about earlier is that my my oil light came on, but it was not because I was out of oil, but my oil signal, the thing that signals you, was
Mhm.
broken. But my oil was fine. It's just the signal was broken. And so sometimes you got to use that into that thing that's on the inside of you, because there are signs all around you. Even when you wake up, there are signs around you. There are people around you that may come for you that doesn't have good intentions, but sometimes there are signs that indicate that. But if you're not paying attention
That's right.
and using your signal, then you will be misled. That's
Mm,
all I'm saying here.
that's good.
Do you classify those signs as false reading? Unlike my car, I did not heed the warning of my spiritual sense, or as society calls it, my intuition. Instead of taking the next exit, I hit the accelerator full throttle and sped full steam ahead.
Mm, 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 mm.
I failed to seek divine guidance, nor did I evaluate what this relationship would cost me in the long run. Instead of deciphering through the rubbish, and there was rubbish,
Mhm.
I accepted it as a love connection, blinding me to the false readings of the heartbreak that would follow. And so I want to stop right there, because I want to share with you an interesting story on
Okay.
how we can take what appears to be love, because when we meet somebody and they're whining, they're dining, they're paying
Mhm.
attention to us. uh, Kim, I think you owe her a thank you. Trudy Walker says she loved your show.
Oh, let me say hello, Mother Trudy Walker. Thank
um,
you so much. I love
and
you. So how about that? And thank you for loving the show, but I love you. I love you.
and then you are all caught in. You're drawn in because he's whining, he's doing this, and he's taking you there. And I have a question here. What When does what we define as affection cross over to obsession? And the reason I ask this question, let me tell you. So my mama taught me this. So my mother lived in Tacoma, Washington, and at this particular time, she was having surgery. So I flew from Charlotte to Tacoma to be with her. At the time, I was dating this guy who I thought was just everything. Oh, he was handsome, he had financial stability, and he had all of this.
Hmm.
And so I was there with my mom, and every morning at the same time, this guy would call me and wake me up, right? Early in the morning
You're like, I done been with my mama all
and
night.
wake me up. And so I'm there with mom, and I'm sleeping in the bed with my mom. I'm just gonna say that. And so one morning, like maybe the fourth or fifth day, my mom said, "Why does he do that? Why does he wake you up when he know that?" So I was like, "Oh, he just loves me. He's so concerned about me. He just wants to hear my voice early in the morning." She said, "Something's wrong with that, and that is insecurity. That's not affection, that's obsession." And
Huh.
I paused because I was
Oh,
like, no, mom, he loves me. She's like, "No, it's obsession." And so then I began to evaluate our relationship and how he would treat me. If I had just left his house and I went out with the girls at the mall, when I get to the mall and I'm there, he would call me. That's not affection, that's
mhm.
obsession. Okay. He would call me. I just left him.
Hmm.
Hey, I just want to make sure you made it to the mall. Okay. How you doing? I just left him. So
Okay.
this is what I want to say. So a lot of times we evaluate that instead of paying attention to the warning signs. We
Hmm.
define it as something totally different. Oh, he loves me. He just want to check, show me how much he loved me. So when does affection turns to obsession? And
That's
what are you
good.
going
That okay. I want you
to
all
So anybody out there want to chime in on that?
in the comment.
When does
Yeah, make sure
affection?
you comment in the comment section what the
Because
difference is for you
because
all.
my
I
mom
can
used to tell
I
me this
I can tell
too.
you according.
Anything overdone, overeating, anything overdone, right? It's obsessive. Okay? Anything. So you eat too much, that's gluttonous. Okay? So he really. So is this affection or is that insecurity? My mom said it was insecurity. He's insecure because if he's secure, he'll be okay. He don't have to check up on you every
Mm,
5 minutes.
good point.
So
I love what
we
your
need
mom
to,
is saying.
yeah, and I did too after a while because at first I thought, oh no, because my thing was, and I always said I was looking for love, but was I looking for love in the right places? And did I disavow the warning signs because I was so focused
Right.
on I want to be in love and my definition of what love looked like to
That's
me,
good. I
to
love this.
me,
I love this. What
what
is the
love
difference?
looked like to me, you know?
Well,
So
let me add a
go ahead.
comment. I just wanted to comment and say that according to this is on Wikipedia stuff, but obsession is a feeling of intense infatuation, while love is a feeling of strong affection. Someone who is obsessed often has to have a need for constant contact and they act possessive, like they own you, and ignores the boundaries that you and your partner, as a partner, you all may have. That's huge.
Right.
That's important.
And that's exactly what I just explained. Constant contact. Have to know, okay, where you at now? What you doing now? Who you with now? You know, that's a clear red flag. Let's talk about that. That's a clear red flag. And so the important thing here is how we define healthy relationships. What is healthy? And I struggled with this chapter for a minute because I said, well, on one hand, it looks normal or looks like, oh, this is what dating is supposed to be. But
Right.
when it runs into something where you lose your identity, you can't even be the person that
Mm.
you're used to be or you're used to being, because you got to conform to what he is saying. You got to check in every minute. You got to do all these different things.
Right.
So you lose your identity to become what he wants you to be. That's not affection, that's obsession.
That's
And
good.
that is a clear warning sign, a clear red flag.
Wow. All right. Well, this is a good discussion, and I know all of us can think of times where we've dealt with someone that was obsessive and weak, and like, this doesn't sit well with me how this person is acting. And sometimes in situations like that, it can be too late when you're recognizing that it's happening. So make
Right.
sure that, what advice would you give? You're the person that's the author of this book. What
And
advice would you
this
give people to be
and this is
careful?
when I said that I struggled with this chapter. You know why? Because people say, well, girl, you should have paid attention to the red flags. But sometimes there aren't any until
Right.
you're in it. Then you begin to see, you know, oh, oh, but
This is a
now you're
problem.
in it. You're in it and you're in it deep.
Right.
And especially when it comes to emotions, when you in love, this your guy, this is your person,
Mm.
and now he's starting to display. He don't want you to go out with your girlfriends, and I deal with this a lot when we talk about domestic violence. There's isolation, oh, no, no, I just want you with me all the time. I'm gonna smother you with love and kindness, but just stay with me. You don't need to go out with Sally or whatever.
That's
That is
crazy.
a clear warning sign of
Mm.
an unhealthy relationship. It's important that we understand that you do not lose your identity in a relationship. And when you become, and I'm speaking from my perspective too, because my first husband, everything was about him.
Okay.
Everything, I got to make sure that he's taken care. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with loving someone the right way,
Of course.
properly. But the problem is when you don't love yourself. Now you so busy loving him that you don't forgot totally about your dreams, your desires, your happiness, your focus. You forget about all of that. Everything is all about him.
Well, Amina says she agrees with everything that you're saying, and that's her comment in the comment section.
Oh,
Thank you,
Wilhelmina. Hi,
Wilhelmina.
Wilhelmina. Hi.
Glad to have you
Absolutely.
here today. And you all share this conversation with other people. So I'm sure a lot of people have thoughts on this. So please share the conversation.
And
And
the thing about women sometimes, and so we're talking about the warning sign. We do have intuition.
mhm,
And sometimes we just don't follow it. We do have. I just believe that we do. So, some people say, well, you're saying men don't. I just think that women have an extra, because we're nurturers, we have a tendency to see, just a little bit more when it comes to a relationship. That's my opinion. I do. I think we have intuition, but sometimes we fail to follow that because there's an imbalance with what we want and what we see. I
so you
just
think people just push it in the back of the corner of
yeah,
their
we
mind
just
and be
like,
like,
okay,
"Ah,
well,
yeah, I'm
oh,
thinking
he
this,
just
but
did that one time,
right,
so
right.
oh, he was, yeah, well,
That was cute. Oh,
yeah, and nobody's perfect.
okay.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's true. Nobody's perfect, but make
He
sure
really
that
likes me. He really
imperfection,
likes me. He keeps
right.
calling me and talking to
Make sure that imperfection that you're talking about, nobody's perfect, is detrimental to you. That is
me.
not abusing you or making you lose your self-worth. You
That's
know.
good, Vicky.
Yeah,
That's some great information that you're sharing. Listen,
yeah.
I'm actually going to just to break it up for a second. I'm going to take a commercial break. Now, normally, if you all ever do anything with the Kim Jacobs show, you know it's at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. in the morning, and you can tune in right wherever you're watching right now on the Kim Jacobs Show. But I'm going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I want to keep going more about understanding and paying attention to those warning signs and listening to that intuition. We'll be right back.
When someone has lost a loved one, they want to know what exactly happened. They want to know, is the other person going to be held responsible? And they want closure. At Hunter and Everett, we help clients that have lost a loved one move on, and to do that with dignity and respect that they deserve.
All right.
On a commercial break, since we kind of running it like a show. All right, Vickie. So carry on and tell us some more about those warning signs that we sometimes.
I want to hear if there's some people in the studio audience that can chime in on a time where you you had some warning signs, but you decided to ignore them. Talk to me about that.
And if you want to come on, some people may not want to type a full paragraph. So let me do this. I'm going to put this link here for you, and you'll be able to just come right into the conversation. It'll bring you up on screen. Some people don't like to do all of this typing in paragraph mode. So feel free to copy and paste that link into your browser, and it'll bring you into the broadcast. Okay.
I want to talk. Do you agree? Are there some times when your intuition have warned you about certain things and you have proceeded? And just talk about it. What did you do? How did you feel? What was your reaction? I mean, I know I've had failed relationships, and sometimes it was my fault because I didn't listen to my intuition. I couldn't blame the person. I just didn't listen. And so I moved forward when I should have stopped or paused or got to know the person a little bit better or communicated, which is a very important character to have when it comes to healthy relationship.
Yeah.
You got to have communication. You got to have trust. And all of those things are built in the relationship. But if from the beginning you see things like all he do, and ladies, we are guilty of this. We talk about our past relationship. You should never bring past baggage into a new relationship.
This is important. I'm going to need all of this training that you're giving right now because I need this. I don't know what you're supposed to do. So this is good. Go ahead. Carry on.
Let's say it's your first date, Kim, and so you're there. You don't come into the date just tell him, yeah, my ex used to do this, and my ex used to do this, and this is what we used to do. That's a red flag for them. Sometimes we show our entire hand on the first date. We show our entire hand. Oh, yeah, well, this is what happened to me. Oh, yeah, he cheated on me. And if this person, let's say that he doesn't have good intent, you just telling him everything that, yeah, okay, oh, yeah, she's one. I can cheat on her because all I have to do,
Oh, my goodness. So you be having this big thing on your forehead like,
yeah, here, I'm the target here because I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about me, my past relationship, what I need you to do, all of that. Instead of graciously, slowly getting to know the individual. Even in that process, you may discover that's not even the person I want to be with, or you may discover differently. But don't put all your cards on the table in one day.
Wow. Okay.
On one discussion. You got it all out there.
But if someone asks, let's see, Wilhelmina said a comment. Let's go to her comment. Let's see. What did you say, Wilhelmina? Indeed, sometimes we only see what we want and who we think we need. Your mother was on point, is what she said.
Right. So you say if they ask, what question are they asking? Be mindful of that. Why is he asking? What is he asking me? What is he trying to find out about me? What if they ask what, Kim?
Well, my thing is, if somebody has been married for 28 years, right? and you've been, that's a long time to be married and with somebody for 30 something years of your life, then all of a sudden you are what, you're available? What's happening? I would ask, what what happened? Why are you now here? Why are you in this part of phase of your life? What's going
You
on?
can answer that without going into, well, so what happened is my husband, he met this girl. You don't have to go there. You say, well, we got to a point in our life when we went separate, our separate ways. Things just didn't quite work out the way I envisioned. And so now I'm on, I'm on a journey. But if you get to talking and then, and then, yeah, and he did, you, first of all, now you're playing your whole hand, and then he might become disinterested because he's like, I don't know if you're over. You want to be a healed whole person when you enter into that dating phase anyway. I think a lot of times we make that mistake too, because we're not that healed whole person. We're still broken and we're still bleeding. And so now we're bleeding, and we go in, and so they're asking you questions, and you're going to talk from a broken perspective, instead
Okay.
of being able to answer that question from a healed perspective. When you heal, then you have no animosity.
Yeah. It's like at the end of the day, you can't control anybody, period. So you just
look,
go
I don't
on.
want to talk about my ex on a date. I'm
Right.
like,
Why do I want to talk about that situation? I just want to enjoy the
let's talk
time that I'm
about
spending with
you,
the person.
sir. I mean, tell me about you. What do you like to do? Let's talk about you. I don't want to talk about my ex on the date. I'm not bringing him on the date.
Right.
It's like you bringing your old baggage to a new situation.
That's
You know,
good,
in
Vickie.
time you can talk about those things. But if all night y'all talking about y'all exes,
That would be
that's
so disturbing. So I
that
agree.
is
I agree
so
with you.
disturbing. That is not a good way to start a relationship. So beware, if someone is trying to pull you into their world, they're getting to know, hey, well, you know they're trying to pull you. It's like the Pied Piper. Let me find out everything. They want to know everything about you so they'll know what they need to do. Or if they ask this question right here, so what do you like in a relationship? What do you mean? I mean, right now I like being on this date. Right now.
So was that a trick question too? Oh my
What I
gosh.
mean is,
I don't
because
know.
a man
Tim Canyon, I'm gonna need your help before I ever
look,
go.
he should know, he should find out by spending time with you
Right.
what your likes or desires are, so that by spending time, you over there, well, you can bring me chocolates tomorrow and bring me some flowers and bring me something. So then that representative is going to bring you, like Wilhelmina said, whatever he thinks that you want,
Good
whatever
point.
it takes to draw you into that situation,
Yeah.
because you done laid all your cards on the table.
That's so unfortunate that people are in that mindset of like trickery and stuff. Because no, who has time for that? That's like sheer.
These days, honey, it's a whole bunch of trickery going on. There's
Okay.
ghosting,
Okay.
there's
Wow.
it's a lot of stuff going on. It's not like when we started out, when we was 18 and 19 years
Right.
old, and
Right.
it's not like that anymore, Kim. So you got to be wise. You have to be wise, very
Okay.
wise,
Let's focus
discernment.
on the rest of the studio audience or people that's in here
What
right
are
now.
they saying? Have anybody chimed
No
in? Because
more
I can't
comments, but what
see.
I do want to know, what are some of the warning signs that people should look for? What are any
Okay,
thoughts on
first
that?
of all, we are talking about your intuition. People know how to lie, but your intuition doesn't. The first one to tell you something wrong, listen to your inner voice. Do some research. Listen, have a couple conversations. Communication is your greatest tool.
Mhm.
You don't have to rush into anything anyway. Communicate. Have some conversation. Listen. Take notes. Get to know the person. And then, like I said, it might be somebody you want to proceed with, or you might decide, this is not for me.
Mhm.
All right. If you're in a situation and there's no compromise, it's all that person has to have it their way all the time. There's never, a time where your feelings are being considered. That's a red flag. That's an issue, because it should be in a place where both of your desires and your needs are being taken into consideration as well. It shouldn't just be one sided. You
Right.
know, he picked the restaurant. He tell you, hey, everything is him. And I'm not saying that a man can't take command, like, hey, I want to take you out, would you like to go to this
Let me pick a
restaurant?
nice
it's it,
place.
it,
And
it's considerate.
yeah, I
Would you
think
like
so.
to go to this restaurant? And you say sure. Can I pick you up at this time? That's healthy communication.
Oh,
Well, if
wait,
it's
stop right there, Vicky, right there. That's an important point. You said, "Can I pick you up?" Because that
okay,
does
so
happen in the dating world, I'm assuming, right? But if you're like kind of nervous about stuff like that, how would that work?
if you're new, I wouldn't suggust that you let
Oh,
anyone
you know
pick
what?
you up in the first place. You just meet at the restaurant,
Oh,
or
okay. I was like, wait, what? That
hey,
gave me
can
an
I
instant
meet?
headache. I was like, what?
Right. So if you're new, then maybe you should meet at a public place a few times before,
Mm,
and until you get to the point that you decide that you want to, okay, well, we want to date. So yes, you could pick me up or whatever. Because I told you my story about the guy that turned out to be not who he said he was, not even his name was the same. So today we have to be careful,
mm.
and we have to be proactive, and it's okay to check them out. It's okay to listen, be a good listener. And if he says, hey, well, I live in blah 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 blah, I still live with my mama, find out what's going
Mm.
find out what's going on
A whole
first.
lot. That's all.
So and the important thing here is, the both of you, because you may meet somebody too who's going through a transition in life. He may have come out of a divorce, or just gotten out of a relationship as well. But the important thing here is that we have two whole people, that the two of you are not bleeding on each other.
Right.
That's the thing here, because life is hard enough by yourself than
Right,
to
right.
try to get with somebody, and they're not healed or they're not whole. And so just take your time. And if there are things that don't seem quite right about the person, if they, like I said, I think when we talked about the counterfeit, if they're only available at
Right.
certain times of the night, they don't have flexibility. It's different if they work, like, okay, they may work from 3 to 11 or
Right.
whatever, so they're not available until after those times. But make sure that there's some consistency there, and
That's
that
good.
you can't contact them, you can't call them on the phone, they don't answer your phone. The only way you can communicate is texting. Those are some red flags that you might want
Yeah,
to
that's a problem.
you might want
Let's
to
read
consider.
that comment that just came in because I don't know what I do with my
Yeah,
glasses.
talking about an ex on a date could X your potential for a great beginning on a new relationship.
Good
Not
point.
even his name was true. Sounds like a great story. Oh yeah, I told that story uh, a few weeks ago when I moved to Charlotte.
Mm.
My car needed servicing. And so I called this uh, auto mechanic place, and this guy answered, and, he asked me out to lunch. He said, "Oh, you're new in Charlotte. I would love to take you out to lunch." So I went out to lunch with him. And it turns out, we I guess we communicated for about a couple of months, and it turns out that, well, it's a lot involved in that story, but the bottom line is he lied about his
Oh,
name, who he said he wasn't, who he said he was, none of that. And so I had
crazy.
to take some measures. Like, the only thing that he told the truth about was his brother. His brother was a preacher. And so I had to take some measures to get away from him because he tried to attack me. So you just got to be careful. It's not the same. Especially if you're a single female, you have to be careful by the people you encounter, and it's okay to check them out.
Yeah, and even sometimes when you're even in a public place, people do some shaky, questionable things because nobody else knows that you're this. They just see you with the person you're with. I guess
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, the
But
point.
just my thing is be in tune to you. And we're talking about your intuition, okay? Be in tune to you listen to listen to what the person is saying, listen to how you feel when you're with them. Listen, and if there are some warning signs, like I said earlier, about if the person is obsessive, once you get into the relationship, he only wants you to be with him, he
Mhm.
want to isolate you from your friends and your family. Be careful of those kind of things, because that could be a domestic situation. And that's why I said I have a hard time with this chapter, because there's a thin line, like that movie, between what's healthy and what's
That's
not,
not
what's
right.
good and what's not. It looks good because he's taking me out on dates, we're
Right.
spending time together, we're talking, we're having great conversations, all of that. That's how it starts in the beginning. Whether it's healthy or, nobody gonna come out and just say, I ain't no good dude, and what I want is this.
Wait
They're
till I
gonna
take this mask off. You're gonna.
Right. They're not going to do that. They're always going to put their best foot forward. So it's up to you to observe, to pay attention, to
Mm,
trust your instinct as well. Be
wow.
observant at all time. Pay attention to the warning signs. Don't, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go forward anyway. I'm no, well, maybe I just want companionship, so I'm gonna
Mm,
disavow the fact that I can't reach him most of the time, or he's late all the time, or he only is available as certain. You cannot
ignore that.
ignore
No.
those warning signs.
So
Those are
when you
some.
see those warning signs, what just some closing comments here. What advice would you give people to kind of get away from that? Because I've heard about the warning signs and paying attention to our intuition, but once we recognize that this is a whole problem, now how do you get out of that?
You
You
say
know?
you say goodbye, and
Okay,
no,
that's simple.
seriously, because sometimes we overthink
Okay.
situations like that. Well, I'm just gonna see if it's gonna get better, or I'm gonna see. No, you say goodbye, because and this is how you say goodbye. I just don't think this relationship is good for me at this time. So I'm just gonna you know say thank you for the time we spent together. I appreciate it, but at this time, I just don't think that I want to continue to pursue this,
Okay. Wow,
and
that's
say
nice.
goodbye. Because the important thing here, once again, is the title of this book. You got to know your own worth.
Know your
You
worth.
got to know your own value. You
Yes.
got to know what's important to you.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
You got to have your deal breakers. I mean, no, this is not going to work for me. This is not going to work for me. This is not what I'm accustomed to. This is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for. I mean, I'm just going to say me. I'm looking for a man who loves God. I'm looking for a man who knows how to be a leader of his household, of his finances, who's going to treat me with respect and with love, and I can trust you. These are the characteristics you are looking for, and you shouldn't only be looking for it in a man. People in general,
Right.
look for people who's going to treat you in the manner that you want to be treated, and you do the same. Who's going to respect you? People you can trust. It's not just with a relationship with a man and a woman, with people in general, even with partnerships in business.
That's
You
right.
want integrity, people with character that you can trust. And
Yeah.
if it doesn't look like you can trust them, say goodbye, even
Yep.
in business. You
I
know,
agree.
if I have a person who is, I can't depend to be on time, and what I do deals with time, that's not a good match for me. And so therefore I can't form a partnership with.
That's
Just
right.
remember your name is important, you
Very
know.
important. Yeah.
So
It's
the
the only
people
thing we
you are.
have, our name and our reputation. Right.
Right. Your name and your integrity is important. So you don't want to connect with people who are not going to be good for that. And that's going to
Right.
make you look bad. And that's going to disavow your character.
That's right.
And, when you're, and even in relationship, even when you're not there, they should be able to represent you or
That's right.
represent in a way that is in a positive way.
That's good.
So I'm
Wow.
just saying, in
This
friendships, in relationships, know your
this is
worth and don't lose
this is good.
yourself at the expense of somebody else.
That is beautifully said. Don't lose ourselves for somebody else's gain. Don't do that. Let God deal with the person or the people, whatever. But
Some brothers master the confidence game for their own benefit. I agree. We have to know our own words. Goodbye to the PS. Yeah.
Wilhelmina said all of
Learn the
that.
art of letting go. I had a problem with that for a very long time. I couldn't let go. Well, he messed up this time, but maybe, I'm going to give him another chance. I had a difficult time letting go because I wanted the companionship over, you know, if that person doesn't want the same thing that you want, then it's not going to work anyway.
But not everybody tells you that they don't want the same thing that you want.
I
They
know, but
and,
you
and they
find out after a
right,
while,
you find out over
that,
time or whatever, but
yeah, you'd
you
be
don't
like,
know.
oh my God. In
You don't know
fact,
what you don't know.
yeah, because I've been with people who told me they wanted a relationship, but then it, as time went on, I realized, no, they don't,
Yeah,
because
it's
they were
not a game.
still playing games,
Yeah.
and vice versa. I told my son this one time because my son said, oh yeah, I met this girl. I told her I didn't want to be in a relationship. That I just, I'm just out here just dating. I don't want to be in a relationship. But this is what I told him. But he was over there cooking her dinner, taking her places. I said, you're telling her that you
Right.
don't want to be in a relationship, but you're showing her the opposite.
That you're in a
Because
relationship.
yeah, because you're doing relationship things with her. But you
Mhm.
said, well, I told her not to get connected, attached to me because I don't want to be in a relationship. But then you're doing relationship things. You got to be true to your intentions. If
Right.
you want it, then do it. But if you don't mislead the person by telling them one thing and doing the next.
I agree. Wow, this has been a hearty discussion, at least between the two of us. We've enjoyed ourselves going back and
Yes.
forth, and there will be plenty of people that catch the replay as well. And definitely share the broadcast whenever you're watching it. But go to VickieLEvans.com to get a copy of Know Your Worth, Overcoming the Dragon of Low Self Esteem. When you get the book, she's going to sign it for you and send it over. It is a wonderful blueprint for anyone that's dealing with self esteem issues. It's great for church groups, for young women organizations, if you're dealing with mentees, and you like to get a copy of this book for all of those that you're mentoring. This is a great book to help young people understand their worth, and even adults that have been struggling for many years from whatever past that we've had. This is a great book.
And we have to be the example that we want our girls to follow. Men, you got to be the example that you want our young men, our boys to follow. They're watching. So be the person, be who you say that you are, and be in relationship, be the person that you want your children to respect. If you have, children, they're watching. Many of us, like myself, are divorced. So you want to represent in the best light. I have stories where I didn't quite do that, and I had to go back and repent to my kids, because I did not follow the right path, because I just wanted to be in a relationship. Oh my God, well, he's this and he's that, he's doing that. but you have a integrity to uphold.
Uphold, right? Good, Vicky. Wow. Okay. Y'all also know that we have a 5K walk with Gabe's Heart Foundation coming up on September 23rd at 8 o'clock a.m. So we'd love for you to come out and either walk in person if you're watching this and you're in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. If not, you can definitely also attend virtually, and registration is now open. Any dollar amount registers you for the 5K walk. But if you like a t-shirt, go to gabesheartfoundation.org and you can be able to purchase your t-shirt as well. And if you're interested in being a sponsor, there's a sponsor packet up there as well. So we welcome you to this year's 5K walk against bullying and sudden cardiac arrest, especially in young people. We got to be educated about sudden cardiac arrest and death.
Exactly.
It's
I
very
don't know if
important.
you heard today
Yeah.
that,
LeBron
yeah,
James.
LeBron
Yeah.
James's son. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's going to continue to happen because what is it's just it's inevitable. We have to have a way for people to get their heart checked through an ultrasound. That's the only way to detect these type of defects that happen in people's hearts. And then it can be surgically corrected. It's not like the person has to lose their life here on this earth if we can find out that there is a defect. And I've had people come to me and say, Kim, because I've heard your story about your son and how he passed away, guess what? I had my daughter checked. In this particular case, it was a lady that had her daughter checked, found a heart defect, and guess what? It was surgically corrected, and she's now still living. That's a big deal.
yeah.
It's a big deal. So y'all come out and support the 5K walk on gabesheartfoundation.org. You can find out more. How can people get a copy of this book? Please tell one more time, and then we're going to close out.
VickieLEvans.com. Click on the book tab, and there is a PayPal link there that you could click on. The book is only $15, and I will autograph it for you. A lot of knowledge is in this book.
Yes, it is.
Not just for you, but if you have young girls or you're associated with an organization of teens, because it's important that we instruct these young girls, especially, to know your worth. I've seen some things that it's only because their self-esteem has not been validated. I've seen them, settle for things less than what they're worth. And we don't want that. We want a generation of young women, young men who know who they are, who are productive in society, who is, carrying on our legacy, making us proud. That's what we want, because they got it in them. So let's encourage them to know their worth.
All right, everyone. I'm glad that you all tuned in. Tomorrow on the Kim Jacobs Show at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have some authors that's coming on talking about breaking the silence and how they can unlock the power of your voice. So make sure you tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. And many times people want to know, how do you actually subscribe? All you have to do is go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show, and that will, if you turn that notification bell to all, you'll be able to receive an alert when we go live. So look forward to seeing you at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you to everyone that was on today. Thank you, author Vickie Evans. This was another deep dive, and we are about 2/3 of the way through the book. So we have about this much more to go, and we're going to see this to the end. We're going to finish what we start. We're not ending until we get through the whole book. Okay, so you'll be seeing more of Vickie L. Evans very soon. We'll get our date together, but she'll be back. Okay. Closing comment, Vickie, and we're going to end.
I just want you guys to be informed, and don't ignore your intuition. Pay attention to your surroundings. Know that God, He's on the inside of you. When I say intuition, realize that you have a maker who is instructing you in so many ways. Pay attention. And you're not here to be a doormat for anyone. So know your worth, know your value, and be blessed.